Hey everybody, and welcome to another PSPP 1.6 tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to go ahead and import an Excel file, a CSV file, or if you'd like, an XLS file or an XLSX file for the new file types. There's one dialog box to go through as we do the import, but this is the function that you use if you want to bring in anything other than an SPSS file. So like we said in our previous video with opening SPSS files, we've got .sav, .spv, and what was it? The output files. I can't remember what it is because I don't really use those anymore. And I have taken to converting my SPSS files to CSV files, which is really useful if you want to move beyond SPSS, which is kind of what I'm promoting in this video series to update my previous PSPP video series. I'm trying to update it so you can make better informed decisions now and move away from SPSS. So let's go ahead and close this box here, and let's go up to File, and we are going to go to Import Data, and that's going to open up the Select File to Import box here. And I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger for everyone to read. Okay, it comes up in its old one. Now it's going to, again, show me what kinds of files that I can import. I can import text files, okay, so it'll find all kinds of text files, or I can specify just TXT files, which is nice, ASCII files, which are other forms of plain text, CSVs, this is comma-separated values, TSVs, tab-separated values, numeric spreadsheet files from Numeric, which is a open source Office suite, which has a word processor, a presentations kind of PowerPoint, as well as a Excel spreadsheet. So a thing that separates itself from LibreOffice and OpenOffice and the more proprietary ones like Microsoft Office or the iWork suite, so to speak, or Google Docs, Google Sheets. Open document spreadsheet, so that's the Open Office file type, or all spreadsheet files, so anything else that might be out there, like ODTs for LibreOffice and that kind of thing. Or you can just do all files. And then, of course, encoding in the different languages as we saw. Again, you have to hold down your left click to actually select what it is that you want to get, okay? So we have our Finder root here for Mac. Again, this would be your My Computer root for Windows. As you can see, my recent file is an SAV file. We're not gonna import this one because you can open these natively in PSPP. So we gotta find a CSV file. So I think I'm gonna go to Documents, and I'm gonna find, not Documents, Downloads. Of course, it has to ask for permission. Okay, there we go. It took me a while. A lot of that stuff was just cut out because it was terrible. I had to go restart my computer and do all of this just to get to various places. Let's open up a CSV file just to get us going. I mean, I've got all files selected here, but let's find a CSV file that can get us started on this. So I'm going to go ahead to comma-separated values and find something that we can go with in this amazing importer. Okay, so I'm going to go with I'm going to go with iterator reliability as my CSV. Okay, so it's a CSV, comma separated. You can see all of that. And we're going to go ahead and click Next. So the assistant will guide you through the process of importing data into PSPP from a text file with one line per case in which fields are separated by tabs, commas, or other delimiters. The selected file contains 76 lines of text. You may choose below how much of the file should actually be imported. So we can either choose all cases, and you can see here, this is the sequence we're going. So first we selected file to import. Now we're selecting the lines. So all cases, only the first one, and then you hit plus or minus to get however many cases you want, or only the first however much percentage of the file you want, and it's going to be approximate to the nearest whole case. So if you've got 50%, but it's not an even number, then it's going to give you 50 plus 1 essentially as for the case itself, the last case that makes 50%. But instead of giving you 49 point blah 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 percent, 49.9, I believe it's going to give you 50 plus 1. So I'm going to go ahead and click on all cases. That is the in general, the one that you want. Of course, you're opening up a data file into PSPP. You want to go ahead and use that. So we click on Next, and it's going to give me select the first line. Okay, so it tells you select the first line of the data file that contains data. So of course, in a CSV or a spreadsheet file, our first row is actually our variable headings. So you can see here that the first row and the first three columns are identified here. So we've got judge, sample, rating, and then we've got A15, B15, C15, all the way down to 76 total lines. Of course, we don't want this as our first row of cases because these are our variable names. So what we do is we select line 2, and then we go down here very critically, because if you don't make this selection here, line above selected line contains variable names, then your data is going to get imported without this first row. So instead of 76 lines of data, we are going to only get 75, but that's what we actually want, but it's going to be without variable names. So there are 75 cases of data here, 76 lines, including this one. So we are going to check this box. So what that's going to do is it's going to put 75 cases into our data view here, right? So variable view, data view. But then it's going to take this first line and give that to the variable view as variable names. So judge, sample, and rating are going to be in our names column here in variable view. So we're going to do that and click next. Okay. And then it wants to know how you have delimited this file. Okay. So of course we opened up a CSV, and by default, comma is what is selected. But you can delimit a file by space. You can delimit files by colons using the pipe, which is the shift backslash above the enter or return buttons on your keyboard. Okay. A custom character that can be used, like you can use ampersands, percent sign, dollar sign. You can use hyphen or dash, I should say, or underscore. Oh, hyphen's already specified out here. The bang, which I think is great, great name for an exclamation point. I'm going to start using that. You can use semicolon, /, or you could use backslash. And then another common way to separate files is text files is by using tab. But of course, most commonly, you're going to be using CSV files for data files because you can easily just put values and then a comma with no spacing, and it will it'll just extract the data. And then over here, it says what character quotes fields. So you can either use none, which is not a good idea. You can use single quotation marks or apostrophes if you prefer, or double quotation marks, which is shift apostrophe, obviously. You can also use the backtick, which is the backtick and tilde button right next to the number 1 key on your keyboard. So you can use backticks if you want. If you're coming from another, let's say, Python or JavaScript, which uses backticks to encapsulate names of things, you can use that as custom for quotes fields. And that will indicate what the value is being put into the different fields, right? So here we have the breakdown of what it would look like, and it will change if I made different selections here, which I don't want to do because I don't want to mess anything up in this tutorial. How awkward would that be, right? So like I said, judge, sample, and rating were put in as the values here. Let me hit back, right? And so you can see quotation marks here are being used to put that string into the data file. Okay, so anything that's not a number gets quotation marks around it in CSV files. Okay, and so A, B, C, D, E is used here as the letter, and then judge, sample, and rating are put in as the variable names. And you can scroll down and make sure that everything works. And it'll give you the nice little animation, Android animation that you can't scroll any farther. And so here and to me, it looks pretty good. This preview looks pretty good. Okay, and so after we're done previewing, we hit next. And we can then look at what the data preview looks like, and we can look at what the variable names looks like. Check the data formats displayed below and fix any that are incorrect. So instead of having to wait for this file to be imported to make changes to type, width, decimal label, value labels, missing labels, columns, line, measure, and roll, we can change them completely. In this view, before we do any of this stuff, we can paste, we can cancel, we can reset all the way to the very beginning, and we can hit apply and move into the main data the main window that we use to mess with the spreadsheet, right? So you can come in here and you can change this, okay? You can go judge and change this from a string variable, okay? I'm going to have a different video, for setting up variable types and options and all of these things, so stay tuned for that. Okay, and you can set different widths for these. You can set however many decimals you want. Of course, 0 is the lowest, and that just means there are no trailing values. So if you have whole numbers, you don't have to worry about that. So obviously, we wouldn't change the decimal for a string type variable and then go through all of this. The default and all of its reading for this default looks good to me, so we are gonna go ahead and click apply. Okay, and so that's what it'll do. Okay, so it'll put all of this in here, and we can make modifications as well. And then in the data view, here we go. We can do that, and we can look for things in the search bar, which is amazing. Okay, and this drop-down menu, I believe, will give us the previous search results. Okay, and then we can mess with the data and do the output. And the other thing that I want to show you is the output and what it looks like, because you can save this for future uses. Because all you have to do is highlight all of this and just modify it with your previous with your new data and your new variable names. I would go through the import, but if you want to learn how to use the syntax language, why not, right? So here's all the syntax. This is the get data function here, okay? And we can take it out and save it, and now it's a file here. Look at that. It's get data, and then it has just the straight text. So it becomes a text file on my computer. So I can grab that, and what it'll do is it'll tell me what kind of file type it is. CSV files are text files, right? The only thing that makes them different is that they're comma separated as opposed to any other delimiter. Okay, what is the file? Well, you got to put the file path in there in quotation marks. Arrangement, it is delimited. Okay, del case is line, so how it breaks up each case is via line. Okay, first case is line 2. Delimiters is in quotation marks my comma. Qualifier is quotation marks. These are for strings and variables. And then we have judge, sample, and rating as these two. And it puts in what kind of variable they are. And then it will change what judges, what if it's a right alignment, and variable width is 8. So these are, and then you can pull each individual line out here. But you can also save this. So in another video, I will talk about the output viewer. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any comments, suggestions, or feedback or questions, leave those down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video again. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.